Hello, boxing fans around the world. Thanks for joining me once again here on Talk and Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today. We're heading into a decent weekend of really good fights, quite frankly. I'm going to start you off with a bit of news out of Philadelphia, where we see that undefeated Sonny Canto is going against Mike Marshall down at the Live Casino and Hotel in Philadelphia tonight at Live Casino Hotel. In Philadelphia, undefeated heavyweight Sonny Canto returns to action when he takes on Mike Marshall in a 6-round bout just a few blocks from his Philadelphia residence as he headlines in a bout scheduled for 6 rounds. Canto, who turned 26 on February 12th, has a record of 8-0 with 7 knockouts, and he'll be making the 6th start in his hometown and is coming off a 3rd-round stoppage over Joel Caudle on November 18th in the same Live Casino ring. Canto, who is managed by Split T Management, is promoted by Top Rank. Marshall, fighting out of Danbury, Connecticut, is 6-2-1 with 4 knockouts. The 33-year-old Marshall has a win over Justin Rolfe, who's 4-1-1. The 7-year pro is coming off a defeat to Victor Faust on October 9th in Las Vegas. Canto weighed in at 226 pounds. Marshall, meanwhile, weighed in at 248 pounds. It's going to be a good fight. Hopefully, we have more news from our friends down in Philadelphia on that fight taking place, as I say, this evening. Elsewhere in the world, tomorrow night at the East Side Rooms, we have a couple of fights to report on. The East Side Rooms are located in Birmingham, England, where we see that Sean Cooper reckons scoring his maiden TKO as a professional would be a perfect way to redress the balance. He's next in action when BCV Promotions stage their first show at the East Side Rooms on Woodcock Street in Birmingham, with fight night set for Friday, February 25th. That would be today. Going into his 15th pro contest, Cooper has seen the finish in all two of those outings, which were losses with titles on the line. The Scorpion has 11 wins to his credit and has landed victories over the likes of Boy Jones, which landed him the WBO Youth Lightweight Bauble. The 25-year-old from Wausau has been beaten 3 times by Jack O'Keefe, Mark Chamberlain, and Sam Noakes, the latter the last time out. Defeat to O'Keefe cost him the Midlands Honours, while WBO International Silver Strap was up for grabs against Noakes in December. Cooper protested that he was fine to continue when his clash with Noakes was called off by the referee during the 9th round, shortly after being on the floor. The Coalpool Warrior isn't one for looking back, though, and he has his sights set on the English champion Myron Mills. Cooper is trained by former British title holder at his weight, Martin Gethin, and is now taking on Craig Timmins as his strength and conditioning coach. That's a bit of news on Sean Cooper, but his opponent is yet to be announced, ironically enough. Another fight going on is Andrew Robinson on that same card, and his opponent is to be announced. Andrew Robinson has vowed to carry on proving there's a different Danimal at work as he targets a trilogy with Damian Jonak. First comes an appearance when BCB Promotions staged their first show at the East Side Rooms, as I've just stated, with the fight night set for this evening. Robinson has unfinished business with Jonak, who he has twice traveled to Poland for a clash, and he first outpointed him before battling to an over-the-distance draw last time out. Before the pandemic, the first two met in 2019 when Robinson pulled off a career-best victory when he beat Jonak, who was unbeaten in 42 pro bouts on a split decision. Fast forward 2 years later, and the duo were back in the ring for a rematch, where Robinson and Jonak played out another stalemate, again over 8 rounds. Robinson is confident they'll settle the score with a trio of meetings and expects to return to Poland for the privilege. So we'll undertake keep busy action in Birmingham first. The big fight this weekend over in the UK, we're all expecting this Sunday. Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall will take place at the SSE Hydro in Glasgow, Scotland. Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall certainly pulled no punches as they spoke in front of the media ahead of this weekend's undisputed title showdown. Unbeaten fighters collide as Taylor, who's 18-0 with 13 knockouts, defends WBC, WBA, WBO, and weight titles against Catterall, who's 26-0 with 13 knockouts at the SSE Hydro in Glasgow on Saturday, live on Sky Sports. The final press conference took place on Thursday. See on Fight Night. Let's hope these quotes are juicy. Here we go. Josh Taylor said, "I'm delighted to be back home. The last 2 years I've been frustrated. Come on, get on with it. I boxed twice, blah, blah, blah. It's been a long journey. I'm not thinking about anything else but Jack. I definitely feel Jack is going to walk into some big shots, and I think I can get the knockout. I don't see a way that he can beat me in this fight. I don't know how he'll do it, but I'm prepared for whatever he brings." That's more like it. Okay. Jack Catterall said, "It's a challenge that I'm relishing," because he is the underdog. "I feel the fight week buzz now. I've got a good reputation at the public workout, and I'm excited to get stuck in on Saturday. It's been a long journey to get to this point. I've been mandatory for 2 years with a lot of roadblocks in the way, but I can put that behind me now. We're 2 days away from the fight, and I'm excited to be there. I congratulate Josh when he became yada yada. The respect is there, but me and Josh both know when the bell goes on Saturday that we're going to punch each other's heads in." That's better. 2 MTK Global fighters are also in action on the undercard as Mark McEwen takes on Laszlo Skok and Bilal Fawaz makes Milan Brala. McCown was present at the undercard press conference. He's excited to compete on the big stage, said McCown. "It's great to have a fight up in Glasgow. I don't need to tell people what the atmosphere is like up here. It will be electric." And having been to Glasgow, I can tell you it will be electric. "I'm grateful for the opportunity. I will grab with both hands and showcase my talent. At the start of my career, I will always go over the big Rocky Burns fights throughout his career up here in Glasgow. It's great now to be here on these big shows myself." And we're all looking forward to that fight. It's going to be a good one. We had a big discussion yesterday. Christian out of boxing247.com, myself on the show. We mentioned what a tough fight Jack Catterall has on his hands. So it's going to be a good one. Looking forward to it. Anyway, onwards. Elsewhere, we see that Angel Barrientos going up against Brian Kennedy at the Cosmopolitan out of Las Vegas on February 26th as well. Super bantamweight prospect Angel AK-47 Barrientos, who's 7-1 with 5 knockouts, is eager to make his 2022 debut this Saturday, February 26th, from the Chelsea inside the Cosmopolitan Las Vegas, a PBC event. Barrientos will square off against Brian Kennedy, who's 10-2, 6 knockouts in a non-televised 4-round bout. And tickets are being promoted by TGB Promotions, and they're on sale now. The 12-round main event will feature Chris Primetime Colbert versus Dominican Olympian Hector Garcia. Colbert versus Garcia tops a stacked Showdown Championship boxing triple header, and that begins at 10 p.m. Eastern Time or 7 p.m. Pacific Time as the undefeated fighters match up in a WBA super featherweight title eliminator. By the way, Barrientos is a native of Las Vegas. Will be fighting in his hometown for the first time in his career. At only 19 years of age, Barrientos has gained the respect of everyone in the super bantamweight division. He plans to put on a dazzling performance in front of his family and friends, who will have a large crowd in attendance. He said, "I've been envisioning fighting in my hometown of Las Vegas since I was in the amateurs, and now that moment is about to happen. I have a lot of people that will be in the stand supporting me, so I'm for the great outing. I'm going to let my hands go with thoughts of stopping my opponent." Fair enough. Simple enough. Elsewhere, out of Philadelphia as well, Ray Robinson's going toe-to-toe against Silverio Ortiz. Veteran Silverio Ortiz will replace Clantis Pendervis in the main event to take on welterweight contender Ray Robinson in the 6-round main event that will take place this Saturday, February 26th at the 2300 Arena. The show is being promoted by RDR Promotions. Robinson of Philadelphia has a record of 24-3-2 with 12 knockouts. The 36-year-old Robinson will be shaking off a 2.5-year layoff as he's coming off back-to-back draws with world title challenger Just Kavaliauskas, who's 21-0, and former British Olympian Josh Kelly, who's 9-0. In both of those fights, most observers believe that Robinson should have had his hand raised in victory. Robinson has wins over Roberto Azevedo, who's 2-0-1, Darnell Giles Jr., 8-0-1, former U.S. Olympian Terrence Cawthon, 36-7-1, Ray Narth, who's 26-2, Azlabek Kozov, who's 25-0-1, And Shirzazbek Almjanov, who's 22-2. I should have advanced warnings of these pronunciations. They're good ones. All right. Ortiz, who fights out of Merida, Mexico, has a record of 37-28 with 18 knockouts. And at 39 years of age, Ortiz is the 22-year-old veteran of the ring and has faced no less than 9 world champions and a plethora of title challengers, contenders, and prospects. He has wins over Juan Carlos Chan, Ricardo Dominguez, Daniel Cida, Elvis Perez, Henry Montez, Armando Robles, Jesus Garalo, Jorge Silva, Ivan Pereira, Felipe de la Paz Torrente, Millan Hussein, Ramzan Baizarov, and Ortiz is coming off a loss to Jordale Booker on September 24, 2021 in Hartford, Connecticut. The packed undercard will feature a plethora of Philly favorites and undefeated prospects. Among them, in 6-round bouts, we're going to see Musin Quezon go up against Stephen Lyons. Jerome Conquest goes up against Oscar Barajas. Robert Sabah is going up against Joel Caudell. Isaiah Johnson up against DeMercy Nazau. Dominique Mayfield takes on Daryl Clark. Jabril Noble takes on Joseph Santana. Edward Cortez takes on Jared Miner. And a lot of these guys are out of Philadelphia, so that is going to be a big, big fight for fans down in Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. Elsewhere, fighting in the Lincoln Ballroom of the Ford Community and Performing Arts Center in Dearborn, Michigan on the March 5th, 2022, we're going to see Robert Sims go up against Moses Johnson, a heavyweight battle. Yes, heavyweights Robert Sims and Moses Thunder Hands Johnson both say it'll be nothing personal when they go to war in the 10-round main event of Salida Promotions' latest Detroit Brawl on Saturday, March 5th in the Lincoln Ballroom of the Ford Community and Performing Arts Center in Dearborn. That's in Michigan, USA. Saginaw, Michigan Sims, who's 11-3 with 3 knockouts, a proven upset specialist, and undefeated but comparatively untested Johnson, who's 8-0 with 7 knockouts, fighting out of New York, will headline a night of exciting matchups that also features Detroit's own Winfred Hotboy Harris Jr., who's 21-1 with 10 knockouts, taking on another veteran known for pulling off surprises, former NABA U.S. super middleweight champ Deshaun Flyboy Johnson, who fights out of Riverside, California, and unbeaten WBC number 10 and IBF number 12 ranked super middleweight Vladimir Shishkin, who's 12-0 with 7 knockouts, looking to stay sharp against Ecuadorian trail horse Jason Verdugo Minda, who's 14-6-1 with 8 knockouts in a bout scheduled for 8 rounds. Tickets are on sale and they're online, and that takes place, as I said. Let's see, Ellen doesn't actually give us the time here. Yeah, it's sometime in the evening. Anyway, as I say, March 5th. Says Sims, things work pretty good. We've been working 3 times a day, sparring and stuff like that, some strength training workout late at night, getting used to it. I'll be ready. Sims, who beat 8-1-1 Aaron Quintana in his last outing in March of last year, has also beaten 8-0-2 Colby Madison, 15-1 Joe Cosmano, and forced top heavyweight prospect George Arias to settle for a close majority decision victory in the past 3 years. Added Sims, I have too much experience for him. I've already beaten some undefeated fighters and guys with every style you'll ever see. I don't think he'll have anything new for me. He's got a lot of knockouts, but he hasn't had a lot of tough opposition. I'm not saying he's not a good fighter, but he hasn't been through a war yet to show what he really has. The way I can move and box and hit without getting his throws and a lot of heavyweights off, you can't really prepare for what I do. It's hard to find a 5'11" guy who can move like I do. It's almost impossible to get a sparring partner to do the same thing. The movement and having to punch down is what gives me the advantage against bigger guys, and we're going to do a job. It's not personal, but that night, I'm going to school him. All right. Showbox, The New Generation, Friday, March 11th, live on Showtime. It's going to feature Argel Holmes and Macrobon Sanganoff. That's going to take place at the Deadwood Mountain Grand Hotel in Deadwood, South Dakota. As I said, March 11th, super welterweight prospect. Adriel Holmes will put his undefeated record on the line against fellow and beaten prospect Memberbone Saganov in another tightly matched main event of Showbox, the next generation, on Friday, March 11th. That'll take place, as I said, on Showtime at 9:35 p.m. Eastern Time from Deadwood Mountain Grand Hotel in South Dakota. The main event pairs two amateur standouts trying to seize the spotlight as Flint, Michigan's Holmes, who's 11-0 with 5 knockouts, takes on Tajikistan's Saganov, who's 12-0-1, 9 knockouts in an 8-round super welterweight contest. Speaking of Slavic nations, I see Uzbekistan's Hershidbek Nomatov, who's 10-0, 3 knockouts, faces once beaten Vernon Brown, 13-1-1, 9 knockouts, in an 8-round co-featured middleweight bout. An undefeated lightweight prospect, Luis Acosta, who's 12-0 with 11 knockouts, takes on the power-punching Edwin De Los Santos, 13-1, 12 knockouts. Plus, 2021 National Golden Gloves champion Giovanni Marquez, the son of former world champion and Showbox commentator Raul Marquez, makes his professional debut against Dominican Nelson Morales, who's 2-0 in a 4-round super lightweight bout that opens the telecast. And that event, by the way, is being promoted by Holden Productions. Elsewhere, moving on in the month of March, we see that Daniel Bailey Jr. gets his first title shot against Jonathan Xavier Fierro. This is going to take place at the Maidenbauer Center in Bellevue, Washington. As I said, on the 12th of March, U.S. Army veteran Daniel, the dedication, Bailey Jr., who's 10-0 with 5 knockouts, will get his first title shot March 12th when he takes on 18-year-old Mexican knockout artist Jonathan Diamante Zurdo Javier Fierro. He's 12-0 with 11 knockouts for the vacant North American Boxing Association Featherweight Championship. The 10-round bout will take place at Maidenbauer Center in Bellevue. The winner will earn a WBA top 15 rating. Bailey, managed by Ryan Roach Fighter Locker, was born in Miami and fights out of Tampa. The cousin of 2-division world champion Randall Bailey, Daniel was honorably discharged from the military after serving a 6-year stint. He was a 4-time U.S. Army champion, rated high as number 1 in the country as an amateur boxer. He was stationed at Fort Carson in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where Daniel was enrolled in the Special Soldier Athlete Program there, World Class Athlete Program, in short, WCAP. I'm super grateful for this opportunity, said Bailey. I feel like all my hard work has paid off, and this will be my opportunity to show a glance of my greatness. I won't disappoint. I'm not thinking about where the fight is going to take me. I'm just focused on getting a win. Congratulations to him. We look forward to hearing the result. Elsewhere, we see that there's been a reschedule of a fight here featuring 2 young ladies. Nina Hughes and Beck Connoly will finally be able to get it on when they clash on the upcoming MTK Fight Night at York Hall in London on April 15th. Said Hughes, I'm really pleased that it's been rescheduled. I'm just hoping it goes ahead this time. I had a hard 8-week training camp for the fight previously, so I feel like I need to put this fight to bed, come out victorious, and move on and get closer to boxing for titles. Said Connoly, I'm really pleased this fight is back on. I was already looking forward to it as it's a decent scrap, but now I'm looking forward to it even more. I was annoyed to get COVID, and I had a really banging headache and felt sick, but it went pretty quickly. I'm definitely going to bring some extra fire to the fight now. I said there were no hard feelings, but I've got the motivation to make this the best camp ever. You'll see the best Beck Connoly there has ever been. I'm really enjoying training because I've got a new coach, but I've got the fire in my belly for this even more now. I'm super excited, and I've even turned down a fight in the interim just because I want to get this my full attention. Fair enough. Beck Connoly and Nina Hughes going toe-to-toe, as I said, back in April 15th. Alrighty, that's all the news fit to print. Thank you for joining me here on Talk and Fight, another episode of Boxing News Today. Hope you join us later on at 7 p.m. when we have the panel. And prior to that, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, the concluding episode of Murderers Row featuring Cedric and Mike, who will be joined by Tim Witherspoon and James James Hagler. Where was that mind going? All right. Thank you very much for joining me. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And we'll see you later on at 7 p.m.